What's going on, you guys? So, Keyshawn Davis, his name is circulating, and not necessarily for the right reasons, right? We all seen him recently do his, media kind of tour online, doing interviews with like Andre Ward and Brian Custer and Fight Hub and whoever, right? And they have all asked him about, his departure from Team Crawford, right? Why he left the team, so on and so forth. And, he also has opened up about, his drinking problems. I guess he was drinking every single day leading up to a world title fight, something that he's trained his whole entire life for, right? To fight in a world championship fight. And he's drinking every single day and, just not in the right mental state and this, that, and the other. And, everything's all doom and gloom in Keyshawn Davis's world, right? Or at least that's what it was. Right? These are all the things that we've been hearing now. And it's become a big, huge thing among the, the boxing world. Everybody's talking about it right now. And, also, before all this stuff kind of came out, I just wasn't liking what I was seeing from Keyshawn Davis, from his little vlog series, some of the stuff he's saying and talking about, wanting to move up to 147 to fight Devin Haney, and he's just going to knock out Jermaine Ortiz, this, that, and the other, just completely overlooking Jermaine Ortiz. And Jermaine Ortiz ain't the dude to just overlook, right? I know he doesn't have like an undefeated record like a lot of these, fighters that are considered the best in the world have, right? But the only two fights he's lost have been against Teofimo Lopez, right, and Vasily Lomachenko. And both of those fights, you could argue that Jermaine Ortiz actually won, right? These were highly competitive fights. So Jermaine Ortiz is no slouch whatsoever. And this would be by far the toughest dude on Keyshawn Davis's resume. The toughest dude he stepped foot with in the ring. So, all that to be said, right? Everything I just mentioned, right? Is making me lean toward a Jermaine Ortiz upset. And you know what? I'll probably even try to go a little bit further. I'm not going to be too surprised if he stops Keyshawn Davis. Because I just don't think Keyshawn Davis is in the right mental state, man. I think he's just hot-headed, quick-tempered, emotionally unstable, right? These are just all the things I'm seeing. And it's not just what I'm seeing, it's what he's saying, right? And what he's shown thus far. You missed weight, so what, right? He misses weight, the De Los Santos fight gets canceled. His big brother gets whooped up on, and the dude who beat him, supposedly got jumped after the fight by the Davis brothers, right? Keyshawn was involved. Wasn't a good look for Keyshawn Davis. That whole thing blew up, and we hadn't seen Keyshawn Davis for a while. So, automatically, he's emotionally unstable. He's crashed out, right? And then now he's making his comeback fight against Jermaine Ortiz, and he's hungry. He's renewed. He's got a new team around him, or he went back to his old team. Everything's all great, sunshine and rainbows, right? I'm gonna knock Jermaine Ortiz out, and I'm gonna fight Devin Haney, blah blah blah, overlooking him. And then now he's talking about how when he was with Team Crawford, he was drinking every single day, just down in the dumps, some stuff going on in his personal life, and this, that, and the other. Completely unstable, mentally unstable. So I think Keyshawn Davis is a very talented fighter. He's got all the skills in the world, all the attributes you could have and want as a fighter. I just think that his mental is where he's weak at. And I think when you're messing with a guy like Jermaine Ortiz, he's mentally strong. Quiet, humble dude. No joke. Not to mention, Jermaine Ortiz is very skilled. He's a big 140-pounder, right? He's got respectable punching power. His name is the Technician, bro. Like, Jermaine Ortiz is no joke. And I've seen all these vlogs of Keyshawn Davis, you know, in train camp, all this stuff. You know, he's, in my opinion, he's just talking a lot. And to be overlooking any opponent is a no-no, right? I mean, we kind of seen that with Brian Norman Jr., how he kind of overlooked Devin Haney, and look what happened. We've seen it time and time again and throughout the sport of boxing. Haney and Norman was the one I most recently thought of, but there's so many examples for that. You know, you never overlook anybody, because that's when you get hurt. That's when things go bad, right? So, all this being said, man, I'm more fearful of a guy who's really quiet, doesn't say anything. You know, if I go to a party and I see a dude who's just off in the corner, quiet, not saying a word to anyone, you know, and is just down to just fight, throw down. He's not going to be selling wolf tickets. You know, I'm going to be a little bit more intimidated by that guy than the guy who's, you know, hooting and hollering, you know, acting a fool, right? Because all that could be a front. I'm not saying that Keyshawn Davis is you know, he's fronting. You know, I'm more fearful of the dude who's quiet, composed, you know, and not necessarily the guy that's selling wolf tickets and acting a fool. But those are my thoughts, man. I think this is going to be a huge shocker for a lot of people. You know, I can't say 100% certainty that Jermaine Ortiz is going to win this fight. I'm starting to get a feeling. You know, maybe as time gets closer to the fight, we're 2 weeks out now. You know, it's not this weekend, it's the next. You know, maybe when it gets closer to fight time, I'll make a more, you know, bold prediction on this fight. But as of right now, man, I think it's kind of a perfect storm, you know, for Jermaine Ortiz to slip in there and pull the upset off, man. And possibly even, you know, catch Keyshawn, get him up out of there. But those are my thoughts, man. Let me know what you guys think about this whole Keyshawn Davis, you know, situation with him going back and forth now with, you know, Team Crawford and all the things that he said. And who do you have going into this fight? It's going to be on the co-main. So it's going to be a good fight regardless. It's a co-main. So let me know what you guys think, man. Hate, like, comment, subscribe.